Today we're going to talk really quick about identifying a small block Chevy V8 engine and why you really need to know what you're working on. Stick around. What's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of Home Built Workshop. Today we're talking about engines and how to identify what it is you're working on. Now in today's example we're talking specifically about a small block Chevy V8, but this same general information is going to apply to a lot of other makes and models. Just the locations of the numbers are going to be different. So why would I recommend taking the time to determine what motor you have? Maybe the guy you bought it from said it's a 350, so what are you going to just take his word for it? He may be right, but he may not be right either. I like to verify everything myself before moving on. I'm sure you guys have heard of the telephone game. Oh, it's such and such, and it gets passed along and passed along. So maybe by the end, it's really not what you think it is, so it's important to identify things for yourself. You might need to know exactly what it is, that way you can buy specific parts for it. Whatever the reason is, it's nice to know exactly what you're working on. Instead of taking someone else's word for it, maybe they got the wrong information. I'm going to show you really quick and simple how you can identify exactly what small block Chevy you're working on. There's a couple different numbers on the block that you can use to identify what you have. I'm going to grab the GoPro and I'm going to show you the first one. So we're going to start out on the driver's side of the block towards the back. Now on this particular vehicle it's really easy because there's no fenders, there's no really anything in the way. We're just going to walk up to it. You may have to crawl over your engine to get to this location. But back here in the corner there's some casting numbers right here. Kind of hard to see with grease and grime. You may have to get in there with some degreaser and wipe that down. But right here there's a number. This particular block is 3970010. That's the first number I look at when I'm trying to locate information about this. Now you're going to have to do some detective work online to try to determine the meaning of that. That first number, in my experience, doesn't give you necessarily exactly what you're looking to know. It kind of gives you a range. When I look up this number online, it says that this could possibly be a 302, a 327, or a 350. It doesn't really tell us any specifics. For me, that's quite a range, and we need to narrow this down a little bit more. So we're going to come back around to the front of the block. The second numbers that you're going to need are on this front tab of the passenger side of the engine block. It may be covered in grease and grime. This one I had to wipe off a little bit to be able to read these numbers. Now you may need to get in here with some degreaser and really clean this up, but there's going to be some numbers stamped into this little pad. These are not a casting number. These are stamped in probably by hand or maybe some sort of machine, but it's a stamp that's applied individually to each block. And the numbers we're concerned with are right here at the front. It's going to start with a letter, a series of numbers, and then another series of letters. There's also I think this is like a serial number back here, but this is what we're concerned with at the moment. So you want to write this down or take a picture of it or something like that. That's what we're going to need to do the research on to figure out exactly what this block is. Now it's important to know that you are going to have to do a little bit of detective work to determine exactly what this is. I usually do my searching online on a couple of different sites. I haven't found an overall database per se of these numbers, so I just look for this information on a couple different sites. Hopefully you can find the same results and then you feel pretty comfortable of using that information. Using this block as an example, if we take a closer look at the number, we can see that it's a V0401 CNV. Now if we jump over to this website that I've been using as a reference, I will put a link to this in the description. We can start with the V, and that tells us this was made in the Flint plant. Now for the date code, it's a 2-digit month and a 2-digit day. So ours being 04 means it was made in April, 01 means April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. If you scroll down, you can locate this suffix code list. Just pick the one that has your set of numbers in there. Ours is CNV. That opens a new window, and if we scroll down and find CNV, we can see that CNV represents a 350
manufactured in 1970. This also tells us that this engine originally had about 250 horsepower. It's a 2-bolt main and came out of a Caprice.
So there it is, really quick, really simple. You want to use the information you can find on the block between the two casting numbers, but mainly the one on the front tab of the engine. That's where you're going to get the best information from. You want to look for the stamped numbers in there. That's really going to tell you. If you guys want to see some more work I've done on this vehicle about rebuilding these Holley carburetors, you can check the link right up here. That'll take you to that video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.